G'day. Grandiose Imaginosa. Writing stuff. And again, episode 11, maybe? I really should check that before I start. Okay, so coming back to what I wrote last time. This bit that's highlighted on the screen. I was describing Shankster walking down this colossally large passageway carved through black rock. When I came back and read it, I realised I had missed a detail. The rock of this path was carved through. The rock this path was carved through was black. She could not tell how high the passageway was because the darkness of the walls simply bled into the darkness above. No roof could be seen. Shankster could tell from the sound of her footsteps that the passageway was a big space. She grunted to herself as she thought that in many places this passageway would have been some kind of meeting hall. It was wide enough and high enough to be a hall rather than a passage. Yet passage it was, a slowly sloping pathway leading down into the uninhabited areas of the palace. Okay, so I missed a connecting bit between tell from the sound of her footsteps that the passageway was a big space. And then she's thinking it's actually too big to be a passageway. Haven't really made that bit clear. Now, when I was thinking about this yesterday, I realised two things. If it's as black as I'm describing, then how would she, and if she can't see the roof, and if it's as big a space as I'm saying, she wouldn't be able to see the other wall either. Unless the lighting that's following her along the floor goes all the way across. And that's not the image I had in my head. The image I had in my head was of her walking essentially in darkness, and all she can see is the wall on that side. And then above her is darkness, and over there is darkness, and over there, everywhere, darkness. So I haven't described that very well, and I haven't written the logic of that very well. She can't know how big this space. She can know that it's big enough that she can't see the roof or the other side. But that's all. The sound might give her a clue about the size, but I haven't mentioned the sound yet, which is why down here I've added sound, because that's what I'm going to write next. Some paragraph about the sound in that space that could give her some clues about the size. But once I've written that, I'm going to have to reorganise all of this to put those descriptive bits all together. Now, they may not end up together, but for me to make sure I get all the descriptive bits that I need to put them all together so that I can go, yeah, I've described that, I've described that, I've described that, I've described that. I've got it all. Once that's written, I can then break it up and put it through this passage area, through this chunk of storytelling, knowing that I'm not missing anything. Because if you put them all over the place to start with, you miss things. Well, I do. Okay, so the other bit of this that I liked as I was thinking about it yesterday was this that I've got highlighted and focused here. Her focus was forward, to know something new, to discover something. That looks like it's not a full stop. I'll read that again. Her focus was forward, to know something new, to discover something fresh. What was behind her had no answers. Only forward remained a hopeful possibility. Now that, 2 sentences, that really, I like that. I like it because this is towards the end of her journey in this book. And her journey in this book is, as for many characters, we start with her in a typical, for her species, a typical normal life and role and identity, with some internal uncertainties, some discordance going on for her. And on this journey, along with the adventure that she goes on, some of that, the life I have is not the life I want kind of thing, becomes clearer and clearer to her. And as is the case for many people, when they decide they don't like the life they have, they don't like the identity they have, the people around them, their society, their culture, their whole framework of existence doesn't like the idea of them changing, will not accept them if they change, puts all kinds of conscious and unconscious pressures on them to not change. And very often that person ends up having to go it alone, having to leave the village or the town or the culture or the whatever it is. And she has reached that point. Now, it's a terrifying point for anybody. Leaving what you know for the complete unknown, which could be awful, which could be dangerous, which could be a failure, when you've got a known thing that works. It might not be what you want, but it works. It's incredibly difficult to go out into the darkness because you just don't know. Other people who've done that journey may tell you that it's a fantastic journey and that the outcome will be awesome, but you don't know that for you until you do it, and it's terrifying. So this image of her walking out into, or down into the darkness is a really good metaphor, analogy, whatever the right word should be, symbolism of her doing that in her life. She's literally doing it in the palace. She doesn't know. She just thinks she's walking into uninhabited blackness. But of course, she's not. Now, I don't know how much of that I'm going to write here. This has already changed as she's going to meet somebody. Until very recently in my thinking, she was going to meet this person halfway through the book. But I'm thinking, actually, she's only going to meet this person right at the end of the book. This book being one of 3 in this story arc about the Stone Garden, primarily. So her and this person might have more role in book number 2 and 3. But I think it will work better if she doesn't meet this person until the end of the book, possibly doesn't even meet them. Is only about to meet them at the end of the book. Because this sentence here, only forward remained a hopeful possibility. That is enough in terms of ending her journey Forward is a hopeful possibility. Deciding to let go of the past identity, the past behaviour, the past expectations, the past way of existing and surviving in the world, to let it go, to cut those ties internally and mentally and possibly socially and go forward. That is a hopeful possibility. As an answer to her problems in the book, that there is an answer. To recognise that forward is the hopeful possibility and to go forward. Neither you nor I need to know what happens next to be satisfied with the fact that she has resolved that challenge. Do I stay who I am? Do I do a 50-50 split? How do I cope with my dissatisfaction and my discontent? That's her answer. And she's doing it. She's walking into the unknown in this scene. That's her answer. Now, I know a lot of people like that everything gets tied up and she meets a family of dwarves and they treat her nice and they make happy families and everything's great, happy ending. But there are happy endings imply that when you put a full stop, nothing else happens. Or they just go on being a happy little dwarf family forever. And that's not an ending that it's not a living ending. This, moving forward, thinking it and doing it, that's a living ending. Anyway, so I like that sentence. I've highlighted it because I'm going to keep it, and I'll write a note to myself that it's really good to have something like that in whichever is the last part of the book that her story is being told in. Okay. Now, I was also going to talk about sounds, but I might do that in the next video because I think this one's getting too long. Okay. I am Grandiose Imaginosa, and I need to write something. See ya.